Jiang used the oppressive body of the divine elephant, and using all his strength, delivered a strong punch to the vein. His attack began to take effect, and in a matter of seconds, a cut appeared in the spot where Jiang had struck. But then it started to regenerate. Jiaxuan Yu turned around, and upon seeing that he had managed to create a cut in the vein, she couldn't help but be shocked. With a surprised expression, she explained that even if the vein could be destroyed, the ancient corpse would heal it very quickly. Jiang clenched his fist tightly, and his gaze fixed on the vein. He prepared to strike again as he was not willing to give up so easily. With a determined gaze, he struck the vein again, shattering the area into pieces. If they couldn't penetrate its meridians, they wouldn't be able to break through the most defensible outer exit. Now, instead of the easier external advance, internal advancement was the best way. Jiang used his power again and delivered another strong punch to the vein, creating a large curtain of smoke in the area. Jiang's attacks took effect and a large hole appeared in the vein. Seeing this, Jiang, who had his fist clenched and was ready to strike again with a calm expression, realized that now was the time to enter. Just before the vein could regenerate again, Jiang entered inside and asked her to wait for him to return. Jiaxuan Yu turned around, and upon seeing that Jiang had managed to enter, her eyes filled with surprise and concern, asking him to be careful. Two men from the group extended their hands and used their powers to create a shield to repel the beasts. Jiaxuan Yu turned around and with a serious gaze asked Lu Yifei and Song Yuming, the two professional tanks of the group, to fight on the left side and hold out. Lu Yifei nodded his head. She began walking toward the others, extended her hand to one side, and gave orders to Su Manmen and Ningbo Kujing to take care of the left side, while she and Su Xia would handle the right. Upon hearing this order, one of the men started heading toward the left side. The members of the group created a shield behind and two on the sides, to prevent the beasts from attacking from various directions. A horde of blood beasts appeared and surrounded the group. Seeing this, Jiaxuan Yu grabbed the bow, prepared to shoot, began observing the beasts, and revealed that staying alive or ending up dead depended on them. The only thing she could tell them was that her great-grandfather Zhuling Hu would come immediately to rescue them. Upon seeing a glimmer of hope, the members of the group were filled with enthusiasm. The guardian at the entrance of the divine corpse went to Jiaxuan Yu's father's office, revealing that he had lost contact with the group. Hearing this, her father's eyes filled with concern. He placed both hands on top of his desk, and with a confused expression asked when exactly they had lost contact. The guardian responded that he had lost contact 3 minutes ago, when suddenly there was a sudden energy fluctuation inside, something that had never happened before. He had entered the divine residence and discovered that the corpse was completely isolated from the outside world. The guardian's eyes were full of seriousness. He began to gaze at the father, explaining that the strange thing was that the corpse of the ancient god had not disappeared and was still in its original dimensional space, and the connected position of the calf was still within their formation's range. The father, somewhat astonished, remained listening silently without interrupting. He sat down again, rested his hand on the table, and his gaze filled with fear as he remembered that the Ji family had taken more than 100 years to barely open the passage toward the calf, and now it was impossible to forcibly break through the defense of the ancient god from outside with their own strength. He gave the order to the guardian to notify this to the elders so he could return as soon as possible. Now they could only seek him out, and he also decided to notify Gu Kai, Shin of Jiangnan. Once Jiang crossed the vein, a horde of blood beasts appeared, but he drew his sword and with a piercing gaze, began massacring them one by one. Xiao Jai also manifested and began to kill all the beasts in the area. Using the celestial sword, Zhang attacked one of the beasts again, cutting its body into pieces. Now the area was filled with corpses. Xiao Jai placed his hand on top of one of the beast's backs, and with a calm gaze decided not to eat this junk food now, since after all, there was delicious food waiting for him later. Zhang's eyes were full of determination, and without much effort he began to massacre all the beasts in the area. In some other place, there were blue dragons flying through the air. There was a man with white hair watching what Zhang was doing through a magical ball made of water. To him, this was unexpected. He explained to his brother Mao that he would never have thought there would be such a talented child among humans. Next to him was a dragon who had summoned the magic ball. He began staring intently at Zhang and told brother Duangsu that this was true. To avoid catastrophe, he had faked his death and crossed the sea, hiding his heart and waiting for the new era. Duangsu's heart had not been discovered in hundreds of years, but now it had been found by a child. Duangsu reached out toward the magical ball, which started showing Zhang's insects. He explained that Zhang wasn't an ordinary brat since he had released very powerful insects, all being natural disasters and even possessing the 9 miasma wings. He knew that Zhang's movements were not ordinary, but now that the space was closed, it was a dead end. He began to control the magic ball, and while both were observing Zhang's next move, Duangsu mentioned that there were more and more strange things about Zhang. He was worried that he might really touch his heart, but all he could do now was create blood beasts. But for the moment, it seemed that the beasts couldn't stop him. He knew that if Zhang destroyed his heart, he would no longer be able to shelter them, and he feared they would all disappear. Nanlong summoned a blue flame in the palm of his hand, began to observe it, and with a confident smile told Duangsu not to worry since he still had much of his origin left, so cursing a child to death was not going to be a problem for him. Zhang finished off a horde of blood beasts, but more began to appear and seemed endless. Our boy, who was wiping his mouth with his hand, realized that the blood beasts were becoming increasingly stronger. Now there were even some at level 150. He feared that things were not going well with Jiaxuanyu. He needed to hurry, otherwise, something bad was going to happen. Joxia, who was in front of him, started pointing forward with his finger, and with a serious expression asked his father to pass through the intercession ahead in order to reach the heart. Upon hearing this, Zhang quickly moved forward. He knew that this ancient god could also hide himself. He could hide his heart anywhere in the body. Zhang decided to finish off the beasts that were in front of him, but at that moment, the beast began to flee. Seeing this, he became confused as he did not know what was happening, but it didn't take long for him to realize that something was wrong. Zhang's eyes filled with surprise, and he panicked as his sea of consciousness had suddenly gone dark. Now he couldn't even see the ancestral tree. Zhang's gaze filled with fear. He didn't know what was happening. Behind him appeared a giant dragon, which started staring at him intently and prepared to attack with its sharp claws. Zhang turned his head back, and upon seeing the dragon, he couldn't help but go on alert, realizing that this was bad. Just before he had time to react, the dragon caught Zhang with its claw, leaving him immobilized. Our boy couldn't help but feel fear and started screaming. A wicked smile appeared on Duangsu's face, thinking that now he was saved. Zhang Long, who had summoned the dragon to catch Zhang, began to smile, believing that now he was finished. The dragon began to tighten its claw, causing ice to appear around, and Zhang began to tremble, his gaze filled with despair. Not knowing why he felt completely unable to resist, he felt very cold and had a strong desire to sleep. Zhang began to feel fear, being unable to move. Seeing this, Zioji approached him, grabbed his face, and with a worried expression asked what was happening to him. Then he started touching his back, asking him to speak. Our boy was unable to respond. It was a shame since he couldn't make any sound. At that moment, the ring Zhang was wearing on his finger began to shine, shattering the ice into pieces. The power of the ring was so powerful that even the dragon's claw exploded into fragments. He had suffered a curse attack from an unknown entity, and had been protected by the heart of the star god, and now his heart of the star god had suffered significant trauma and was damaged. Seeing this, the dragon's eyes filled with rage. Zhang unsheathed the celestial sword and began staring intently at the dragon. The heart of the star god was the ring that the great dreamer had given him before. He had just received a curse that targeted directly the origin of the soul, even bypassing the ancestral tree of all things. This ring had saved his life, and those screams from his sister back then had been worth it. An excited smile spread across Zhang's face. The ancestral tree manifested again. Zhang began to stare intently at the dragon, ready to take revenge. The invincible level 9 divine rank equipment could not be destroyed. He realized that the dragon was very strong, but since it could not kill him, now it was his turn. Manlong fell to his knees on the ground and put his hand on his throat. Duangsu extended his hand and urged him to make another attack as soon as possible, since he did not believe that Zhang could escape from the second curse. Zhang and Xiaojia began to move toward the heart. Manlong started observing them through the magic ball, explaining that the difficulty of the curse at this moment was completely beyond their imagination. His soul's essence had been exhausted in the fight centuries ago, and if the curse were released again, he would fall into eternal sleep. Duangsu approached him and with a gaze full of rage began staring at him intently. With an uncertain gaze, Manlong asked if he was going to devour him or revive him after he fell into eternal sleep. In response, Duangsu began to show an evil smile. Seeing this, Manlong decided to kill him now, but at that moment Duangsu started controlling the small dragons which began devouring Manlong. His eyes filled with despair as he did not know how he could control these monsters, begging not to be killed. Duangsu, who had his hands behind his back, began to observe him in silence, responding that it was already too late. He extended his hand and began to consume Manlong's power and with a confident smile, decided to destroy Zhang so he could not destroy his last heart. He was going to use the essence of the barbarian dragon to plant karma in Zhang's soul and force him to come here, and at that moment Zhang was going to be him. Zhang and Xiaojia reached the fourth heart, which was gigantic. Our boy began observing it, asking how long it would take to break the restriction. Xiaojia began to fly toward the heart, explaining that for him this was very easy. He transformed into small beetles and started attacking the heart, asking his father to wait as everything would be over very soon. Zhang began to observe in silence, and little Xiaojia destroyed the blood vessels of the heart with his sharp teeth, lifting the restriction. Zhang placed his hand on his chest and began to feel a strong pain. His heart was beating forcefully. He felt that his heartbeat was synchronized with that of the ancient god, not knowing if this was an illusion. Xiaojia's eyes filled with happiness, and with a hungry smile he decided to start devouring the heart. He entered the heart and began to devour it slowly, causing cracks to appear in the heart. Zhang started to feel strange. He put his hand on his chest again and his gaze filled with exhaustion. The ancient god's heart was about to stop beating, but for some strange reason, he felt that his own heart was also about to stop. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,